Thanks, Chair. So, Minister, my question is on a similar vein. It's to ask when the final report of the Commission of Investigation into Mother and Baby Homes will be published, in view of the fact the crucial report for survivors has been delayed several times. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Deputy. And look, I'm acutely aware of the importance of the Commission of Investigation and how much this report is anticipated by the former residents and their families. And the Commission's final report is due to be submitted to me by the 30th of October of this year. I suppose it is important to understand that when the Commission submits its final report to me, there are a number of procedural matters that I have to address before I can seek the approval of Government to publish it. This will necessitate the engagement with the Attorney-General as the Government's legal advisor, and consequently there will always be some time interval between the delivery of the report to my department and the separate arrangements for its publication. No Commission publishes its report directly. But I know that the anguish felt by many former residents of the mother and baby homes and their families, that has been prolonged by the Commission's need for additional time. But I do know, and I think they understand, that the Commission is investigating very important, very sensitive personal material and investigating actions that took place over the span of 75 years. And I think it is important to reiterate that the Commission is completely independent in the conduct of its investigations. It must obviously act within the terms of reference that it operates in. And the previous government, when it did grant the number of extensions, it was always satisfied that the Commission was endeavouring to conclude its report as quickly as possible. So I think the priority has to be to safeguard the very substantial work that has been done, so the Commission can comprehensively address and conclude these crucial matters as quickly as possible. I share the desire of all the interested parties to see the Commission conclude its work, and I look forward to receiving the final report at the end of October. Our duty to the women and the children who pass through these institutions is to ensure that their lived experiences, they're shared, they're acknowledged and they're understood. And look, I'll keep former residents and members of this House informed of the situation when the report is received, and it is my intention to publish it as soon as is possible.
Minister, Deputy Funchion.
I suppose, as you're aware, and I've acknowledged in fairness, there has been a number of dates, and even on the 3rd of June, the expected date of the 26th of June was confirmed that it would go ahead. So I suppose everybody thought at that stage that that would be the date. And then on the 12th of June, there was a delay, and it was said due to COVID. Now, when you look at the experience of people who've been treated so badly and failed so badly by the state, and then their experience with this is, delay. And even at that stage, to kind of say that COVID was the issue by the end of June, I mean, when the whole COVID thing really started in March, I suppose people are suspicious, and you can't blame people. I would feel the same way myself if I was in that situation. And I just appeal to you and I do think you, in fairness, want to do the right thing in relation to this, but just that it isn't delayed any further. I mean, at this stage, they must have had enough time, and I appreciate the complexities and that time is needed and something can't be rushed, but I do think at this stage, the report, it needs to stick to that date of the 30th of October. Thanks.
In fairness to the Commission, I think we all know that a chunk of our lives this year was kind of missed. And that caused difficulties for everyone in every context, and delays and things. And I don't want to make comparisons because I don't want to minimise, I suppose, what we're talking about in the context. But everyone's lives were delayed, and that's the context here. I met with 2 members of the Commission maybe about a month ago, and we had a very, very useful discussion. And I asked them, I said, are you absolutely confident about the 30th of October? And they said they were. So I'm very confident of that date. And on that date, we can begin the process of doing the due diligence on the government side to make sure we can have it published as quickly as possible. I think it is, and you know yourself, Deputy, it's important to flag to the survivors, we won't have it published on that day, but it is my absolute intention to get it published as quickly as is possible within the context of the Attorney-General and the government's decision thereafter.
1 minute.
Minister, I think I do understand that, but I suppose at least if the 30th of October is if that deadline is adhered to, it's the first thing that has been actually, I suppose, followed in relation to the whole thing. I mean, it's been it should have actually been published before COVID. COVID shouldn't even be coming into this really in reality, and it's just. I mean, I never know what we can say about the mother and baby homes, the institutional abuse, all of the horrible things, you know, that happened, and that the state just totally failed people. The one thing we can do is get the report and get the information, you know, as well as, I suppose, apologise. But it's just so important that the deadline is not extended any further. And the other thing I would say is that I think the very first group of people that need to know about this and that need to be given copies of this are the actual survivors themselves, because unfortunately nowadays we see in any sort of reports leaks to the media a few days or a few weeks, and then what we do not want to happen in this situation is to have someone opening the newspaper with various parts of the report before they even know that it's actually out and available. So that's, I would just appeal to you to make sure that as much as possible that within your powers to make sure that the survivors are the first ones to get the copies of it. Thanks.
I think that's a very fair point, Deputy, and I do know my department is kind of a network of people that it communicates to on all issues to do with the mother and baby home. And look, we'll use that network, but you're right, I think we'll need a very clear communications approach as regards the publication of this report. And I think I remember when was it the Savile inquiry published in London, its final decision on Bloody Sunday, and it was, you know, the relatives were all in there and they were given it. I remember them waving it out the windows of the Houses of Parliament, and that was done in a respectful way to relatives. So look, I absolutely take on board that point, that it's important that it's communicated as well as getting the issue of getting to them quickly, that it is in a way that's respectful to them. Thanks.